What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with another video today. This is like my second or third video in one day. I don't really know, but doing this new series called College Football Rewind or something. I don't know, something like that, where I look at old college football games. I break down the matchup, and it's not just like, oh, BYU played Pittsburgh and it was a blowout 57-3 or something. That actually might be a game. I'm not sure. I'm talking about big games. And today, college football flashback, that's what I'll call it. The 1987 Fiesta Bowl matchup between number 1 Miami and number 2 Penn State. Both teams undefeated, 11-0. Let's look into it. It was January 2nd, 1987, to end the 1986 college football season. A lot of people called this the most anticipated matchup between Miami, number 1, 11-0, and number 2, Penn State, 11-0. And, you know, so many people said this is the most anticipated matchup. 2 undefeateds, 1-2 in the country, national title. Penn State wore their home jerseys. Miami wore their white, road or away jerseys in this game. John Schaefer, the quarterback for the Nittany Lions at the time, wore number 14. He led the team to a 11-0 record. And then Vinny Testaverde pretty much did the same thing as the Miami quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. Sorry about that. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. Most anticipated matchup. Number 1, Miami. 11-0, right? Regular season, neither of these teams had a conference, right? They just played 11 games, won every single one of them. Penn State wasn't in the Big Ten yet. Miami wasn't in the ACC. Miami didn't join until 2004. Penn State didn't join until 1990. Only, 3 or 4 years later, maybe 5, after this game. It was Vinny Testaverde, the Miami quarterback, and it was the Nittany Lions quarterback, number 14, John Schaefer, right? Both teams were undefeated in this game. So, what happened in this game? Let's look into it. So, it started out, Penn State got the ball first. They had a loaded offense, again, with John Schaefer. They also had running backs DJ Dozier, Tim Manoa. That sounds like a Tua type of name there. Along with some really good receivers like Ray Roundtree and Brian Silverling. Miami, going into this game, was a 6.5-point favorite. So Penn State was the underdog. Miami, everyone loved Miami in this game. A 6.5-point favorite. Expected it to be a good, close matchup, but Miami was pretty much the team that was supposed to win this. And that's what made this game so interesting and kind of weird, was Miami should have won the game, right? And when you look back at these stats in the game, go back and look at it. They had a total of 445 yards in the game. Penn State only had 162, right? That's a 283 yardage difference between both of those teams if you do the math. Miami also won in terms of getting first downs. Penn State only had 8 first downs in this game. Miami had 22. Red zone defense was the key to this game. It was tied 7 apiece at halftime, right? I'm pretty sure both were like a passing touchdown. Maybe one of them was ran in. But defense had showed up, especially for Miami, come the third quarter. The saying, defense wins championships. Oh, defense wins championships. Offense is key. You got to score, but defense, you get a late stop, you win the game. Don't give up so many points to where this team's blowing you out. This is that game that started that saying, defense wins championships. And I'll tell you, and I'll show you why. and especially red zone defense. Red zone defense was key because these offenses were so great getting in the red zone, right? Like, if you look back, I'll bring up the 44-16 game with Clemson and Bama. Bama moved the ball really, really well, got in the red zone. But, and they would get to about the 25 or 30-yard line, and Clemson picked them off or got a stop, a missed field goal, whatever it was. It was like that in this game. Red zone defense was key. Getting in the red zone for these offenses, right? It was defense all the way around in this game. There's no other way to really put it. Penn State, running the ball, getting down there, making some key plays, in the passing game. And, same with Miami, doing the same exact thing, And again, Penn State had a loaded offense with John Schaefer at quarterback. Running backs Tim Manoa and DJ Dozier. Those guys ran really well. Brian Silverling made a couple good plays as a receiver. Ray Roundtree, got in the red zone. Defense wins championships. And again, that's what this game pretty much proved. It was 7-7 at halftime, right? Only one touchdown each plus extra points. Defense shows up in the third quarter. And it was really close between the two defenses, but Miami somewhat looked a little bit better. At one point in the game, Miami has 8 penalties for 52 yards as far as interference, I think, and maybe some flags thrown for offside or neutral zone infraction or something like that, right? Penn State only had 2 penalties in that game at one point for 18 yards in total for both of those. And in the fourth quarter, there was only one score, right? A scoreless third quarter for both of these teams. There were no points. And again, 7-7 at halftime, 7-7 at the end of the third quarter. Fourth quarter gets a little more interesting. For the Canes, only a 38-yard field goal for Miami after a scoreless third quarter. This is where it happens. They score a field goal in the fourth quarter. They go up 10-7, right? They kick a 38-yarder, go up 10-7. Penn State gets the ball back. John Schaefer has got to find a way to, in the final quarter of the game, in the last game, sorry about that. The final quarter of the game, in the last game of the season. Again, this was a title. This was a championship. Joe Paterno here, we're talking about, right? So, and Penn State moved the ball quite a bit in the fourth quarter. Got in the red zone. They struggled, turned the ball over. I think, backed it up. There were some punts in the game. I think at one point there was a blocked punt, or it was at least, it wasn't returned or anything, but I think at one point Miami blocked one or Penn State blocked one. I don't know. There was only a 38-yard field goal for the Canes, like I just mentioned in the fourth quarter. Scoreless third quarter. Penn State moves the ball quite a bit. Failed in the red zone. Overall, the defense was great for both of these teams. Not a lot of big key plays. But let's look at how it ended, right? Let's look at how it ended. It was, this was just one of those games. Miami should have won it. They had more yardage than Penn State did offensively. Offensively, Penn State only had 162 yards. Miami had 445 yards. Right? Let's see. this game overall was just hard to figure out. I mean, there's no other way to put this game other than defense does win championships. It was a 14-10 score. Penn State won it. 2 interceptions by Pete Giftopoulos. Try saying that last name 5 times fast. Including the one late to seal the game for Penn State. Just over, I think, just a little over 2 minutes in the game. Or a little over 3 minutes maybe. He gets one in the end zone. Takes a knee. Penn State gets the ball back. And just ends up running the clock out. Penn State, if you look at how Penn State is today, the running backs that they've had, they had some pretty good running backs that year. They had some good running backs. In that game, I mentioned DJ Dozier and Tim Manoa. Those 2 guys were key playmakers in this game. There was Brian Silverling, wide receiver. Ray Roundtree, another wide receiver. It was just so... I mean, I don't know how else to put this game. This was a really interesting game. I went back and I tried to watch it. I tried to take, as much notes as possible just to, talk about this game. All I can tell you is, the saying defense wins championships. This game proved that defense wins championships. Now, you can... say, oh, well, what about the 44-16 game? Clemson's defense shut Bama out. What about, what about offense? Doesn't that win championships? I mean, you could score late in the game, but the defense gave up the big play. These stats in this game, again, Miami had 8 penalties at one point in the game for like 52 yards. Penn State only had 2 for 18 yards in total. And, only a 38-yard field goal for the Canes in the 4th quarter. There was no score in the 3rd quarter whatsoever. And again, you look at the score at the half. It was only 7-7 apiece. A scoreless first quarter, 0-0. Only a touchdown by both teams in the 2nd quarter and going into halftime. So, overall, this was a really interesting game that I went back and saw. I actually watched it yesterday and tried to take notes on this. And, this was a really interesting game. I recommend it if you love a good matchup to watch. Go back and research this game and go look at it. And if you don't believe defense wins championships, you're wrong, and you need to go watch this game. So, and again, shout out to Giftopoulos for getting the game-winning interception in the end zone, taking a knee, and giving Penn State the ball back. They just kind of run the clock out there. And again, Penn State ends up winning 14-10 and winning the 1987 Fiesta Bowl, going 12-0 overall after a 11-0 season, beating Miami, who should have won the game, and they do it with a really low score of 14-10. Anyway, that's it for this video. Really do appreciate you guys watching. I tried my best to, take a bunch of notes on this game. I watched this game, and I figured maybe, with football season coming up and it being in jeopardy and stuff, why not, instead of continuing to look forward, which I still, kind of want to look forward and talk about this year and, going forward, why not look back on college football games from many years ago? I'm not going to go to like the 20s or the 30s or anything like that. Now, I might at some point do the very first college football game. I think, who was it? Yale and Princeton or some teams like that. I'll have to look back at that. Princeton-Rutgers was the game. But, I figured why not start this new series on college football and like college football rewind or college football flashback, I think is what I'm going to call it. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in today. If you enjoyed it, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. And if there's a game you want me to look back on and do a video on, definitely put it down in the comments below or send me an email, ballardsports19@gmail.com. I will definitely look into it. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in today. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, Ballard Sports Media. Checking out. Y'all have a good day.